Good morning. My name is Domenico Di Siena, and I have the pleasure and the privilege to welcome you to the first session of the Fab City Hub Voices program. Let me say a few words to explain what it is about and what it is its focus and purpose. Fab City Hub Voices is a series of webinars to learn about creative and productive hubs in Europe, the challenges involved in activating such projects, but also all the opportunities these kind of hubs open up for the local innovation ecosystem. This program is produced by the Parisian agency Volumes, with a long experience in activation of creative and productive hubs. An agency that I have to say I'm really proud to be part of. This initiative is part of the European project Centrino, in which we are supporting the creation of 9 Fab City hubs in Europe, a new generation of hubs for circular and productive cities. Before I go on, I would like to introduce you to the people who are with me today. I have to say that this is a special edition. In fact, our guest is for the first time from one of the 9 pilot projects of Centrino. We'll be in conversation with Zoe Romano, that together with Nema and the municipality of Milan are developing a local Fab City hub within, as I said, Centrino project. So Zoe is a craftivist. Maybe she will tell more about this concept. I like it a lot. Digital strategist and lecturer focused on social innovation, smart styles and open design. She graduated in philosophy at the University of Milan. She worked for Arduino and then co-founded We Make Makerspace in 2014. Today, Zoe will be here with 2 more guests that we will be meeting later. Zoe will tell us about how Milan Pilot is establishing an open manufacturing program that will increase the cross-fertilization between makers, designers, and artisans, and also the small and medium enterprises, with all the institutions that are also collaborating in the area, with the objective to support digital innovation processes. So the idea behind, we will discover, is to create a new culture in manufacturing focused on shorter product cycles, as well as providing new assets, resources, and circular economy networks in the area on fashion and design. This is just some concepts to let you more intrigued and with the will to know more about it. So I'm now say hello to Zoe. Hello, Zoe. How are you?
Hi, Domenico. Happy to be here finally.
I think that we will have a really great session today, actually discovering even more projects. So before I let you, Zoe, with your presentation, I just want to remind that this is an event with a wide audience of participants that actually right now I take advantage to say ULO. And we are also recording this session in order to let the ability even after the event directly to the Centrino website. But I want to remember that the people that are now attending this session could also propose comments and questions that we'll be happy to answer and also to use to enrich the dialogue. For that, we will be counting on Carlotta Fontana, who is project manager at Volumes for the Centrino project. And actually, Carlotta has been researching a lot the historical evolution of hubs, among other activities in this project, and she will be taking care of your question and comments. So, hello, Carlotta, how are you?
I'm fine. Hello, everybody. I'm super happy to be here. Actually, this is the fourth edition of Fab City Hub Voices, but the first after the summer break. So I'm very excited to welcome Milan, Mattia, Zoe, Mattia, and Vicente. Happy to be here. And in the second session, I will come back with some question, and please post your question and also present yourself so we will know the public we have.
So thanks, Carlotta. So Zoe, now the stage is yours.
Okay,
Let's enjoy the
thanks,
presentation.
Thanks, Domenico, Carlotta. Yes, first of all, yeah, as you announced, I've been working in the maker scene like in the past 10 years. The concept of craftivist that I use it is because I've been like experimenting with craft even before the maker scene was happening, and using the craft heritage and the history and the tools to like bring forward social innovation. So in which way we can like take from the past and put forward and the change in society, in which way we can work better and live better our city, also using and finding new tools and be more open with the public. I will share my presentation and share the screen. Okay. Can you see it properly? Yeah, thank you. So we titled the presentation Milan Fab City Hub, a work in progress, because of course we started last year with the project Centrino, and we are happy to share what we are working on in this stage of like proceeding and starting and exploring in which way a Fab City Hub could be useful in our city. It's a kind of a different perspective, because usually the city of Milan, that is very focused on design and fashion, the approach is really to present things when they are like perfect. But with this, from our background, we contaminated a bit the city with this idea of the makers, in the sense that you start sharing even if everything is not perfect, because it's more important to engage the people. It's more important to be part of a process of collaboration. So this is already a start and a starting point that is a change compared to what is the tradition of this city. In this sense, I'm also in my personal progress and changing many roles since like 10 years ago. Right now, I'm officially part of Nema to follow the progress and the project of Centrino together with the municipality of Milan. So Rete Nema is a network of organizations, both profit and non-profit. Two of those are Open Dot and We Make, that are one of the two main Fab Labs in Milan that opened up in 2014. And the other organization are, of course, where is our headquarters, Base Milano, I will talk a bit later, and then Cariplo Factory and A-Cube, both accelerator and open innovation company. So all of us, we decided to get together and network to have a more strategic and systemic change in the city, because we know that the only way to create real change is get together and collaborate, and creating this network allowed us to be more effective. So in the next 3 years, we are going to be focusing on the project Centrino, but in the past, we've been collaborating already with the municipality of Milan. So Centrino didn't come out of the blue. It was part of a process of experimentation, collaboration, and project that we've been dealing with together with the municipality of Milan. So because the municipality of Milan started this program called Manifattura Milano, so a program in which the focus was about the small producers in the city, meaning craftsmen, meaning digital fabricators. And one of the starting point of this was creating a network of, let's say, registered Fab Lab in the city. So for the first time, some years ago, it was the first time that we, makerspaces, was somehow recognized by the city to have a role and to be part of a program in which, for example, with New Generation Lab, we created some like training programs, informal training programs for young people that were not working and not studying. So in this process, we started to like get to know each other, and also we started to think about in which way we could promote the growth of new type of jobs and new type of companies in the city, more focused on manufacturing. And one of the first big event on which we collaborated, it was the Manifattura Milano camp that took place in 2018. So in this place, we called for, like we call them revolutionary. Who is the people that is really trying to change the way we think about how to make things in the city in a more sustainable way, in a more let's say on-demand way, in a more like agile way. And we did the camp and we got to know each other, like organizations and small companies, young and old, that were already active in the city. We got together and we started like to know each other a bit more. And then a second phase was about Manifatture Aperte, that allowed us to open up the labs, and so citizens could go around and meet the laboratories, so they could enter places and location in which organizations make things, but also small designers and crafters and fab labs. Because sometimes Milan, I always say when I talk about Milan to foreigners, that is a bit of a hidden city. It's not like Florence or Rome or Venice that it's like more open to be explored. Milan is a kind of hidden, even for their own citizens. And so sometimes you discovered new manufacturers because of a network or an event, even if they live close to you. So it's really important to have this kind of events happening. And this created the option to, and the opportunity to answer the call of Centrino project. And what we did with this project once in a while during like the year, with Centrino, we can really focus on a daily basis. And that's what we are really happy about. Because we, to build like a Fab City Hub and to create more like a different perspective on the city regarding manufacturing, you need to do research, you need to support, you need to listen, you need to like co-designing services and also understanding which way to govern, to make the governance of a Fab City Hub. So in the what we started, what we needed to do and we wanted to do, it's to create, for example, a kickoff event and say, what kind of Fab City Hub do you imagine? Because we can have some ideas, but we think it's really important right at the beginning, understand what people, what are the needs of the people? What are the needs of the producers? We decided to start focusing on the people that are active. So we are not starting from the citizens or consumers, but we started from the producers, those that are providing manufacturing, that are providing services, that are providing, like, for example, repairing for the citizens. So starting from the those, like say, small businesses, also profit or non-profit, that are active on the city. Because as we learned from building Fab Labs in the past, there is not a single recipe. So one size does not fit all. So for Milan, like for example, when we launched We Make Makerspace, we said we need to focus on textile and fashion because this is part of the heritage of the city. So in which way this Fab City Hub could be part of this, in which way, what is the role of a Fab City Hub? And we learned a lot of things during that event. And one of the things that we learned is that, first of all, Milan, and we knew it, especially after the pandemic, in the process of like living this pandemic, we realized that there is citizens are very focused on their neighborhood. We've been living much more our neighborhood, and Milan, of course, is divided in municipalities, small municipalities. There are 9, and we are located with base in zone number 6, where will be the headquarters of our Fab City Hub in these 3 years. But what the first thing that we came out and understood is that every of these zones has his own specific and his own pride of being like a neighborhood. And so we were thinking of understand how we can build a distributed Fab City Hub, in which way it could be like an itinerant Fab City Hub, how we could be, what could be a perspective in which there is not a focus in one part of the city, but in which way can be something that can enhance the specificities of each of these local area. And during the event, apart from that, we also learned the importance of, as a municipality, but also as is to open up to the stakeholders. So in which way a dialogue can help improve the way people work, especially small producers. They have a lack of visibility in the city, because when I'm, for example, tourists or like normal people, citizens, inhabitants of the city go and do shopping or buy new products, objects, they're just overwhelmed by big brands. And so we think we could enhance the visibility of these small producers. Also the importance of formal and informal education. There is for example, a disconnect, and also with the social inclusion. There are old craftsmen that are doing a very great job with their skills and heritage, but they lack a bit the use of digital tools, and they are not really convinced about what can digital fabrication do in this context. They feel a distance between what they do from what we do as makers. So it's important to create this dialogue and create accessibility on one side, on the new companies, about the heritage of the city, about the practice, what we used to do, in which way we used to do things. And on the other side, provide a bridge between the tradition and what we are doing now, and in which way we can create products with a different DNA, with a different aesthetics. We are not using 3D printers to produce objects that they were used to be done by hand. We are not creating that. It's not that. It's not a substitution. We are creating new type of objects. So, and I think this is one part of the things. And to do this, it's important we use the word cross-pollination, because we need to cross-pollinate to show what does it mean to use digital fabrication in this context, but also having people, creating occasion to have people to talk and to show and to demonstrate. I strongly believe in tacit knowledge. That tacit knowledge is the knowledge that you cannot transmit through words or like images, but you only transmit it through proximity. So when you work together, there is the way you move, the way you act, the way you turn things, and the way you move in the space. There is a knowledge that you cannot transmit through digital tools or like webinars. Or so it's really important. And one of the things we are investing in is, for example, making in residencies, creating cross-pollination with like new actors in the city, old actors, and like some kind of experimenter, people that experiment and are doing advanced experiments with circularity process. And that's why, for example, I'm really happy that today with me, today is the third day of the design week in Milan. And after the Fab City camp, we decided to launch our first Fab City residence. And that's why I'm here with Mattia Ciurnelli from Superforma and Vicente. And we are running our first residence inside Base, inside, let's say, this our like temporary headquarters of the Fab City Hub that is located in the ex Ansaldo complex. That is like, it was the most renowned former industrial area in Milan. And after there was steel manufacturing, like there was like 70,000 square meter area. And there is this smaller part has been regenerated and has become a cultural hub. So from a factory, it became a cultural hub. And during this week, there are many events going on, but our focus is about to show and express a new way of understanding circularity on a small scale through digital fabrication. So I don't want to lose other time. I want to give the word to first to Mattia Ciurnelli that participated to the Fab City camp at the beginning, and also accepted to take part to this residency. Thank you.
Thank you, Zoe, for the introduction. I will share my screen. Okay, can you see it? Okay, cool. So thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Mattia Ciurnelli. I'm the CEO and founder of Superforma. And I'm here to share with you the work that we have done during the last year on the topic of recycled plastic mainly. So let's start from defining what is Superforma. Superforma is a digital fabrication lab focused and specialized in 3D printing. Superforma was born in 2018, also thanks to the help of the municipality of Milan, because of the program Manifattura Milano, as mentioned before from Zoe. We are a group of designers with different background, and yeah, we have always tried to stimulate and promote sustainable process and development. But in particular, what we do, as I say, we are specialized in additive manufacturing process, and we manage with different kind of process. So from the standard FDM 3D printing, so the one with the filament, we also deal with printing with fluid dense material, such as clay or porcelain. And yeah, maybe the most interesting part is the large format 3D printing. When I talk about large format 3D printing, I talk on that kind of things. So, for example, a huge prototype, big object, and this is due to our machine, the Delta Wasp 3MT, that it's able to print object up to 1 cubic meter in volume. Another key feature of this machine that allow us to experimentate with the material is the possibility to work directly with plastic granule instead of the filament. This obviously means for us a lower raw material cost, but also this means that we have a wider range of usable materials. During last year, we focused on our problem, that is the relation between waste and 3D printing. When we talk, usually when we talk about 3D printing, we describe it as a virtuous process that allows us to create object with the minimal amount of waste. It's true. But for example, in our case, with the large format 3D printing, when you talk about waste, you are not talking about grams, so small pieces and low amount of material. But instead, you are talking about kilos. So for example, the object in the image in the slide, it's a print that failed during the night. And during the 3 years of our activity, we collect more than 200 kilos of waste, mainly made by PLA, that is a kind of bioplastic. And last year, we set ourselves a goal. We want to try to recover this material and give it a new life. Yeah. So this brings us to develop this project that is called Velaschello. And the topic is we have this amount of waste material. How we can recover it? So we start collecting these scraps divided by, for sure, type of material, but also on color families. And we have recycled it and use it to print a stool. And this kind of tool is the Velaschello, and it's inspired by one of the symbols of the city, that is the Torre Velasca. And it's also for us a symbol, of this second life of the PLA. So something that it can be recyclable becomes recycled. The main problem with PLA is that it's a bio-based material, it's recyclable, but there isn't a properly made recycle chain that allow to recover this kind of material. And mainly it tends to be incinerated. So our work process, so as I say, we collected material, we grind it using a granulator, and then we put again this kind of material inside the machine and print different kind of stool. And after that, we have for sure identify a problem that doesn't affect only itself, but it's related to all the 3D printing companies, realities that are involved in the topic of 3D printing. So we made a special container and give to some university, public and private, small business, architecture studio, and start to collecting waste also locally. And this is something that it's more or less the beginning of a network that we hope it will grow more and more. After that, we have tried to resolve another problem. So not all the plastic that we obtain for our internal recycle process can be used directly in printing. This is related to the things that, especially when we grind wasted part from FDM 3D printing, the material that we obtain, it's too stringy. And it can be used directly in the printing phase. So we start to try to understand how to recover also this part of material. And we have decided to do something with a DIY approach, something that is quite similar to the industrial compression molding. So using a couple of molds, metal molds, an electric oven, and a manual press, is it possible to produce square or circular right now slabs that can be used as semi-finished product for manufacture of other products? And at this point, I left the stage to Vicente, that I have the pleasure to meet him 2 years ago, in Eindhoven, during a summer school at Precious Plastic. And he's a master on making products out of recycled plastic.
Thank you, Mattia. Yeah, it's also a huge pleasure for me to be here today with all the panelists. I'm going to ask if it's okay. Do you see everything? Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, as Mattia was saying, I'm a product designer, and I focus mainly on making products and objects out of recycled plastic. And what I want to do with my work is to move away from the misconception of how cheap and disposable these materials are in general. And what I try to make is objects that shows the true value of plastics. So every object would represent would be an example or would try to show how we are missing an opportunity every time that we throw these materials in the landfills. I started with working with recycled plastic back in 2018 when I joined the team at Precious Plastic in Eindhoven, and since then I've seen how many individuals and organizations have took a hands-on approach to this issue, and started getting more involved in the local plastic waste streams. And it seems to me apparent that people see not only the environmental problem of the plastic, but also the possibilities that keeping this plastic on the loop can offer, as Mattia was explaining. So recycled plastic is a valuable resource, but not only because of all what you can make with it, but also because as a process in itself, it's quite resource intensive process. What I mean by that is that it requires quite some technical knowledge and some effort to map and collect all the plastics from the different waste streams, to learn how to sort it by materials, to clean it, to shred it, and to finally process it into a semi-product, semi-finished product, or even a finished one. The fact that it takes some time to development to recycle plastic in the first place often pushes away this question of what to do with it. And I see, and this is where I see the role of the designer coming in, to make sure that these efforts get reflected into the final object or purpose for it. For this residency, we are focusing in making products out of the plastic sheets that Superforma created with 3D printing waste. And for this purpose, I'm going to be making some lamps as an excuse to explore the possibilities of what these specific sheets can offer when combined with digital manufacturing processes. This is happening during the Milan Design Week, and the goal here is to show different ways of producing things locally, starting from how we source the materials. In this case, it has been collected from around the city, from Fab Labs, and from the 3D printed waste generated around this world. Sorry. We are at the moment right in the middle of the residency, so I'm going to take the chance to show you what we have been doing so far. And yeah, starting from the material, these sheets are quite peculiar, as the colors that they have are really vivid and bright, and that's something due to, or that's something really often seen in the 3D printed pieces, that they come with bright yellows and bright oranges and so on. And if you compare it with other waste streams, like shampoo bottles, for instance, the colors are more dual. So that makes this a characteristic of this specific waste stream. The second thing to notice is that in the sheets, you can see traces of the filaments, which is something very characteristic from additive processes like 3D printing. And this makes these pieces very unique from this, because of this particular type of waste that is being recycled. And in a way, it tells a story of what it was before. One of the things that we are trying to explore during this residency, and one of the things that I found more interesting is we are trying to combine several digital manufacturing processes in the design of an object. And thanks to the collaboration with the Fab Lab from two Fab Labs from the city of Milan, which are OpenDot and Remake, we are testing at the moment different types of patterns for bending and other developments in mold making, which hopefully is going to allow us to learn from the material and to create more finished objects and so on. Thanks to these operations, we have access to make more complex objects that otherwise I wouldn't be able to make with only using hand tools. So, for instance, in the design that I showed before of the lamp, we are combining 3D printing with also CNC cutting. And so, for instance, the piece in the middle, it's interlocking all the rest of the pieces together without the need of any screws. And that overall helps make it improving the overall look of it. Yeah, and that's it for me for this part of the presentation, and I will hand it over to Carlotta for the finishing part. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vicente, and thank you also to Mattia and Zoe. Very interesting conversation, and you touch upon very interesting subjects that are concerning with I mean, a lot of pilot cities and a lot of other bottom-up initiatives would like to replicate. I would like to go back to Zoe a little bit, and then maybe asking the question also to
sorry, Carlotta, just
the other
one
guest.
thing. Just one thing, Vicente, could you stop sharing? Thanks.
Yeah. And also, I would like to remind to people that are present in the webinar that you could post your question to Zoe, but also to Mattia and Vicente. So, Zoe, I would like to ask you, because you mentioned a little bit the importance of collecting, mapping, and gathering together different actors from the city. Is important to connect with the heritage of Milan. Could you tell us about a little bit more action that relates specifically to heritage? Because I think heritage is a very big subject, and I would like to have more insight in concrete action. You are maybe dealing with schools. I don't know. It's open to you, the question how to approach, but I was very curious about concrete action on heritage that you are planning.
Yes, first of all, we are on one side, we are lucky that there are some foundation and organization that are managing the archives of this historical area. So in the next weeks and months, we are going to get in touch and also make these archives more available and create a different, let's say, look at this archive. I don't know if, I mean, there is a lot of talk about in which way we can retell history from a different perspective. So somehow one of our role is also to give voice to a different interpretation of archives and the history of this area and the history of the manufacturing history of Milan. Because on one side, usually you are used to hear about a story, but it's usually the story is told from a conservatory perspective. So maybe building the big industrial complex and things like that, what it was used to be valuable, but right now that we have a different perception of what a city should be, like with more space to like people going on foot, people going on with bicycles, people like repairing things. The focus is totally changed. So it's important to look at this archive, giving a different, picking up different type of stories. Also, different people engaged in like the production and the manufacturing of the city. So one of our role will be that one, and one of the next like workshop focus group will be about reflecting upon the heritage of the city. And on the other side is also creating bridges and conversation between different different producers. As I said before, it's really different the way like a craftsman that has been doing, like, for example, leather bags for the past like 50 years in Milan, or hats, or I mean, you can find in Milan this type of people can open up and have a conversation with someone like Mattia that is doing 3D printing and also can like prototype in plastic, but then after you prototype in plastic, it means you can 3D print in metal. So and create accessories that could be used on the old-fashioned leather bags. So the idea is to understand through open conversation in which way we can really create new collaborations, and that is part of the heritage. It's not like putting in two different areas. So, oh yes, here are the old-fashioned makers and here are the new ones. No, we really want to like create bridges and conversation.
Yes, actually, I was exactly thinking this, that heritage, I mean, my question was, what are your action and activities that you're planning about heritage?
Yeah.
But of course, while you were speaking, I was thinking how heritage itself is a way to connecting different group to include. You were talking about tacit knowledge, and I thought it was a very interesting subject. And this is maybe another challenge, how to then collect this tacit knowledge that comes from old people, that comes from people maybe are foreigners. I'm thinking about migrant group that comes from different, and how to collect.
I mean, collect is not possible to collect, in the sense that you can make it evolve, in the sense that you create physical relations between and collaboration between all the type producers and new type of producers, and through this connection something new can happen. And in this way it's not putting a video in a museum to say, oh, this is the way like basket has been done for like 40 years, but now no one anymore is able to do it. If this type of manufacturing is expiring because there is no one that is ready to take this tradition and put it forward, it means we should like create an evolution of it. That doesn't mean it's not like improving it, that something was bad, but is not connected with the way we live now. And so, for example, making an object totally 100% by hand, it means that it costs a lot, and we cannot afford it. And I think it's important to have quality products that we can afford. And so I believe, since I've been working with digital fabrication, that we can have a new type of product that has higher quality than factory products. It's repairable, but also has a human component that makes it that makes it with a different energy.
I was checking some question in the thread, and there is one from Emma Pareschi. I don't know if I understand well. So is there space for open source hardware approach in the Fab City Hub Milan? If yes, how? I was thinking, I don't know much. Is an open source hardware a specific program on that?
So we are working on hardware. We are working on like hacking machines. I mean, there is not a specific program right now on it, but Fab Labs have been doing it, especially, I mean, we make an open dot, especially we were working on hardware for health and care. We've been experimenting for another European project a lot on that, especially because every disability has its own necessity. And so you can really customize objects and hardware around that. But I think, for example, when we started organizing this residency, we said, what is coming up? The objects and the plans and the hardware and the innovation that is coming up for this residency is going to be released and shared with all the network. So all the residents that we are going to organize, we will have part of it, of the output that is going to be released. So it's part of like the local people, but also the entire Centrino network to valorize this. So I'm not sure if like Vicente or Mattia want to say something.
Yeah, maybe I wanted, we could expand this question on, and this was one of my questions also I was having in mind listening to Mattia, that the process that you are doing, it will be also nice that he's open access to other artists to replicate or other people. I know that maybe this could be a tough question, talking about arts and how arts could be replicated, at least in his process. If you have some ideas to share with us about open source art or your process.
I don't know. Actually, it's something that
Mattia and Vicente. I mean, it was to both.
We are thinking right now to allow people to try experimentate this kind of process. Also because making plastic slabs out from recycled plastic, it's something that actually requires a little bit of time. So it's not something that you can do for having semi-finished product that you sell, because the price should be maybe too expensive. But maybe it can be interesting to give to this kind of stuff an artistic value. So try maybe to experiment with pattern, texture, and also maybe we are trying to involve craftsmanship that works metal, to understand if we can collaborate to make custom mold to have more elaborated slabs and stuff. So I think it will be something that we are going to work on it in the next month.
Yeah, picking on what you were saying, Mattia, I think it's really important to stretch the idea that the material has to be used and purposed as something valuable, because like as you were saying, it's really time and effort intensive to collect it and to process it in the first place. So to pick the right application for it, it's quite important for the success of that process to get more streamlined. And I think I see a lot of applications for using and combining it with the CNC machining and 3D printing and these digital manufacturing technologies, because as Zoe was mentioning as well, like you cannot make something entirely by your hands as much as you like, which I have to fight sometimes. It's like I'm enjoying it a lot, making maybe an entire bench out of plastic, but it would also take me an entire week to make use one, and I haven't been taking into account the material costs in it. So that has to be somehow speed up and combined with more with new technologies that can allow that to happen. Yeah.
I'm always muted, sorry. I told you that I'm not good in switching from action to action. Thank you, Vicente, Mattia, and Zoe. I was saying, I don't know if we have more time for one more question or one more reflection, if you have it. I had one about, I mean, Zoe, you told about the challenge of reaching different area of the city, and because each area have his own specificities. Are you I mean, I know that you have a lot of different partnerships, but is there a way of establishing local partnership with each of the small municipality of Milan? How does it work? Like, if I want to go to that neighborhood that I don't have contact, how will be the person or how will be the way to approach different area?
Now, first of all, yes, usually it depends on the topic that you want to touch, but usually there is like a Fab Lab or a repair shop or some like organization that are already based on that, or like associations that are dealing with being in touch with like citizens and making like second-hand shops or repurposing or redistributing goods. So there is a lot of that going on, and usually there are like local representative of the like zones, and and in the past years, the municipality of Milan has been like working on creating this kind of focus that moving from zone to zone into like habilitating the languages and narration and conversation that usually are harder, because people that sometimes live in the more peripheral areas are less likely to come in the center where there is the house of design and fashion, be part of that conversation. So I think it's a good effort, and is necessary that we that are trying to build a new vision of the city, a new vision of making objects and design objects and fashion objects move in these areas, to start a different type of conversation, get in touch with like teenagers that have a different style of dressing, or like using tools, or making skateboards. I mean, it's really important that we are going there and not waiting for the people to come in the center of the city, because that doesn't happen very often, and it creates a social exclusion. So I think going through this path and imagining also this kind of like itinerant Fab City Hub, it would be very nice, because you can really be hosted by an association, by an organization that is based locally, and then being like 6 months and then move to another neighborhood and create this type of like new it's like you move the focus, and so you don't you don't risk to like focus too much on one part of the city.
I really like this connection you made, because one of my questions was about your relationship with the base, and I like the moving on from a base to a totally, but be present in every part of the city.
Yeah, so for
very
sure,
nice.
right now we need to have like a base, like a starting
in
point,
a lot of different places.
We are open to like move.
Cool. So I think, Domenico, you want to close the session with some reflection and.
Yes, so yeah, thanks a lot. It was a really rich, interesting session, and in this case, as usual, it's really difficult to close. But I think it's time to close, and we have a great session that will be also available after the live we did right now. So I remember actually that this session will be available on Centrino website. And once again, thanks to all the participants. Thanks Zoe for actually pushing this, and thanks Mattia and Vicente to spend time with us and tell more about your project. Knowing concrete projects, I know that helps a lot to understand what we are proposing with these creative and productive hubs. And thanks Carlotta and Volume for the support received and developed for this session, and of course all the communication staff from IAC team from Barcelona. And actually I say that I hope we can see sooner with a new session with the Fab City Hub Voices. We will be announcing soon next session. Thanks a lot.